Hey everybody, so as you might know, Chevrolet recalled the Bolt EV due to a problem with the LG Chem provided battery pack, and that means that both of our cars, my wife's and mine, are going to get the temporary software tweak which will limit the car's capacity to about 90%. So let's see what happens when this happens. Here we are right now, you can see how far we've got. Let's see what happens when we get it back. So like 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, the car is done. Everything has been added. They've done the software flash. My partner Kate is waiting for her Chevrolet Bolt to be flashed, and it just started raining, so we're going to sit in my car. What's changed? Honestly, I can't tell a whole lot at the moment. The range still said 80 miles when I got in it. It's now gone down to 79 because we're sitting here with the heating on. So there you go. 79 miles. It did say 80 when we picked it up. That is just over half a charge. I think that's pretty much what it said when we dropped it off, but obviously it's not going to go all the way up. So let's see what's changed. In terms of the flow window, it's still showing those same number of segments in the battery pack, so 5, 10, 15, 20 segments, each of course representing 5% state of charge. Obviously these two at the top are now going to be locked off. The other thing that's missing is there's no mention anymore of the hilltop reserve. That has completely disappeared off the system, and I think that's pretty much to be expected given the fact that the software update has removed that 10% at the top of the state of charge. I had wondered if they were going to recalibrate, but honestly it doesn't look like they're recalibrating, which frankly is a smart thing. So it just means that the car is going to charge all the way up to what was 90%, and then that's as far as it's going to go, which frankly shouldn't bother us because we always stopped at 90% state of charge. Does this mean we're going to get regen at the top at 90%? I really hope so, because I live on a hill. It's about 800 feet high, and when we go down that hill, obviously we get a little bit of regen into the pack, and I would hate to lose that, because regen into the pack is quite nice going down the hill. It increases your range. I would understand if GM decided, no, we won't let you do that. I guess we won't know until the car is next fully charged, but other than that, everything looks pretty much the same. I haven't got any diagnostic tools with me, haven't got anything to plug into the car, so I can't tell you if, for example, there's any differences there, but so far so good. I've spoken to my local Chevrolet dealership. Bear in mind that this is in Beaverton, in Portland, or on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon, so it's a metro area. There are a lot of Chevrolet Bolts in this area. The recall was announced, I think, probably 6 days ago. They've already had 30 people come in and had their Bolts reprogrammed, and of those 30 people, only one person has said, no, I'm not going to drive my car until you fixed the problem completely, and has insisted on a rental car for however many months it takes GM to fix. GM says it's going to start working on a permanent solution in January, which is fair enough. And this is a stopgap temporary measure, which is what obviously we've seen with the Hyundai Kona, which had a similar issue. It too uses the same cells from LG Chem in its vehicles. Off the record, I spoke to a couple of people at the dealership who seem to be of the same opinion as me, that this is a temporary measure and that GM is going to have to come up with a pretty decent long-term solution, or it's going to have to face financial penalties or something else. And frankly, I think the easiest solution for General Motors right now would be to just go, okay, we're going to put 2020 Chevrolet Bolt EV battery packs in the 17s through to the 19s, and then at that point, I presume at that point they make a decision what happens next. In terms of what we're going to do we have a problem driving the Bolt? I don't think we do we? No, we don't have a problem driving the Bolts. This was a safety measure. The number of Bolts that caught fire, 5 or 6 cars out of 60,000 or more that were made, 70,000 I think. That's a pretty low incidence figure, and tweaking the charge rate and the maximum capacity is not a new thing in the EV world. We've seen Tesla do it via over-the-air software updates, the only difference being it was applied over the air rather than going to a dealership to apply it. We've seen Hyundai do it with the Kona to reduce the charge rate and also the total capacity. Same thing, to protect the battery pack. All of these companies are still learning about battery electrics. It doesn't mean that they're dangerous, it doesn't mean that they have problems, but I asked the service guys at this dealership, how many times have you had to do a recall for a fuel injector that's leaking, or a fuel line that's leaking, or a fuel pump that's packed in? And he just laughed and he said, I've lost count. That kind of makes the point there. So we'll keep an eye on this over the next couple of weeks. We'll let you know if there's any major changes to it, but until then, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks to the people scrolling by on my right. And as usual, I'll be back with more great content. Until then, keep evolving.